A tank was burning. Black smoke poured into the freezing French sky. Standing on top of that burning tank, alone, was a boy, 19 years old, 5 feet 5 inches tall, 112 pounds, and in his hands, a .50 caliber machine gun. In front of him, 6 German Panzer tanks rolled forward. 250 Nazi soldiers advanced through the snow. Behind him, his entire company was retreating, running for their lives. He was completely alone. The smart thing would be to jump off that burning tank and run. But Audie Murphy had spent his entire life being told he was too small, too weak, too poor to matter. And he had spent his entire life proving people wrong. For the next hour, that boy on the burning tank would do the impossible. He would hold off an entire German assault alone. He would save 200 American lives. He would become a legend. But to understand how a skinny kid from Texas ended up on a burning tank in France, we need to go back. Audie Murphy was born on June 20th, 1925, in a sharecropper's shack in Texas. His father worked land he would never own. His mother tried to raise 12 children on wages that barely qualified as survival. 12 children in a 2-room shack with dirt floors. No electricity, no running water, no hope of anything better. The Murphy children slept 3 and 4 to a bed. Breakfast was usually cornbread and milk if there was milk. Dinner was beans or potatoes or nothing at all. When Audie was 5 years old, he started working in the cotton fields. His small hands would bleed from the sharp bowls, but he kept picking because the family needed every penny. School was a luxury the Murphy children could not really afford. The other children mocked his threadbare clothes and bare feet. Audie learned to fight back with his fists because words did not work when you had nothing. By the time Audie was 9 years old, something had changed in him. The softness of childhood was gone. He had hard eyes, a quiet intensity. His father had started drinking heavily and took his frustration out on his wife and children. Audie watched his mother work herself to exhaustion trying to hold the family together. He watched his younger siblings go hungry, and he made a decision. He would help however he could. Audie became a hunter. His grandfather gave him an old .22 rifle, and Audie took to the woods. He became an exceptional shot, not through practice at a range, but through necessity. Every bullet cost money they did not have. Every shot had to count. Missing meant his siblings went hungry, so Audie did not miss. He would wake before dawn, slip into the woods, silent as a ghost, and come back with meat. His younger siblings looked at him with something like awe. At 9, 10, 11 years old, Audie Murphy was keeping his family alive. But poverty breaks families. In 1936, when Audie was 11 years old, his father abandoned them. He just left one day and never came back. The family fell apart. The older children scattered looking for work. Some of the younger ones were sent to an orphanage because his mother simply could not feed them all. Audie, at 12 years old, became the man of the house by default. He dropped out of school after 5th grade because the family needed him working full-time. He picked cotton. He worked on neighboring farms. He hunted. His mother was sick. Years of poverty and childbirth and heartbreak had worn her body down to nothing. In 1941, when Audie was 16 years old, his mother died. Audie was with her at the end. She told him to take care of his younger siblings. She told him to be strong, and then she was gone. Audie Murphy, at 16 years old, was alone. His father was gone. His mother was dead. His siblings were scattered. He had no home, no family, no future. Then, on December 7th, 1941, everything changed. The Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. America went to war. Audie Murphy made a decision. He would join the military. The military paid $50 a month. $50 he could send home to his younger sister. So, in June 1942, one day after his 18th birthday, Audie Murphy walked into a recruiting office and tried to enlist. The Marine Corps recruiter looked at this skinny kid and laughed. "Son, you are too small. Marines are warriors. Come back when you grow up." Audie tried to argue. The recruiter cut him off. Next, Audie left, angry, embarrassed, but not defeated. He tried the paratroopers next. "You are too light, kid. Paratrooper equipment weighs more than you do." Rejected again. He tried the Navy. Rejected. At every turn the message was the same: you are too small, too weak, not good enough. Finally, desperately, Audie tried the regular Army infantry. They almost rejected him too. The recruiter looked at his weight, 112 pounds, and shook his head. But it was 1942, and America needed bodies, so they made an exception. Audie Murphy, the boy everyone said was too small to matter, was finally a soldier. Basic training was hard, but Audie had been working since he was 5 years old. He had been hungry most of his life. Physical hardship did not break him. What surprised his instructors was his shooting. On the rifle range, Audie Murphy was a natural. Every shot found its target. The instructors had never seen anything like it. Those years hunting in the Texas woods, where every bullet had to count, had made him something rare, a marksman. After basic training, Audie was assigned to Company B, 15th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division. In 1943, the 3rd Infantry Division shipped out to North Africa, then Sicily, then Italy. Audie Murphy went to war. He was 18 years old. He weighed 115 pounds. He looked like a child, but war does not care what you look like. His first combat action was in Sicily, July 1943. His unit came under fire from German positions. Men around him panicked, dove for cover, froze. Audie did not freeze. He raised his rifle, sighted carefully, and fired. A German soldier fell. He fired again. Another fell. Cool, methodical, efficient. His sergeant noticed. After the firefight, the sergeant pulled Audie aside. "Where did you learn to shoot like that, Murphy?" Audie shrugged. "Hunting rabbits, Sergeant. Germans are bigger than rabbits." Over the next year, Audie Murphy fought his way through Italy and southern France. He saw friends die. Boys he had trained with blown apart by artillery, shot by snipers, killed by mines. But Audie kept fighting. He was promoted to corporal, then sergeant, because officers kept dying and someone had to lead. Audie led. He did not give speeches. He led by example. When it was time to attack, Audie went first. When it was time to hold, Audie stayed. Soldiers followed him because they trusted him. By January 1945, Audie Murphy had been fighting for over a year. He had been wounded twice. He had killed more enemy soldiers than he could count. He had been awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, 2 Silver Stars, and the Bronze Star. He was 20 years old and already one of the most decorated soldiers in his division. But all of that was just preparation. Preparation for January 26th, 1945, the day Audie Murphy became a legend. The location was Holtzwihr, France, a small town near the German border. It was cold, bitterly cold. Snow covered the ground. Audie's company, Company B, was under strength. They had taken casualties. They were tired, low on ammunition, low on hope. But they held their position because that is what soldiers do. January 26th dawned cold and clear. Audie woke before sunrise. He checked his rifle, cleaned it, loaded it. He ate a cold breakfast. He looked at the men around him. Boys, really. Teenagers and men in their early 20s, far from home, scared but trying not to show it. Audie understood. He was scared too. He had just learned to hide it better. Fear was useless. Action kept you alive. Around 1 p.m., the Germans launched their assault. It started with artillery. Shells screamed out of the sky and exploded in the frozen earth. Then came the tanks. 6 Panzer tanks, massive and terrifying, rolled forward through the snow. Behind the tanks came the infantry, 250 German soldiers advancing in a line, rifles ready. The Americans were outnumbered, badly outnumbered. It was a slaughter waiting to happen. Audie's company commander made the call. "Fall back! Everyone fall back to the woods!" The men turned and ran. Running was not cowardice. Running was survival. So they ran. All of them, except Audie Murphy. Audie looked at the advancing Germans. He looked at his retreating men, and he made a decision. Someone had to slow the Germans down. Someone had to buy time for the company to retreat and regroup. Someone had to stay, so Audie stayed. There was an M10 tank destroyer about 50 yards away. It had been hit earlier and was burning. Not a full blaze, but smoldering, smoking, flames licking at the engine. The crew had abandoned it. Everyone knew that if the fire reached the fuel tanks, the whole thing would explode. But the M10 had a 50 caliber machine gun mounted on top. And Audie Murphy needed a weapon that could stop tanks and kill infantry. So he ran toward the burning tank destroyer. He climbed onto the hull. The metal was hot. He could feel it through his boots. Smoke stung his eyes. The smell of burning fuel was overwhelming. Any rational person would have jumped off immediately, but the 50 caliber machine gun was still operational. It had ammunition. And from the top of the M10, he had a clear field of fire. He could see the entire German advance. So Audie Murphy, 112 pounds, 5 feet 5 inches, 20 years old, took position behind the 50 caliber and opened fire. The sound of a 50 caliber machine gun is distinct. It is a deep rhythmic thunder. Each round is as long as a man's hand. Each round can punch through walls, vehicles, bodies. Audie aimed at the advancing German infantry and squeezed the trigger. The gun roared. Tracer rounds streaked across the snow. German soldiers fell. They scattered, looking for cover, trying to figure out where the fire was coming from. When they saw the lone American on top of the burning tank, they could not believe it. One man. One insane man. They opened fire. Bullets snapped past Audie's head. They pinged off the metal hull. They kicked up snow around him, but Audie did not flinch. He focused on his targets. Breathe, aim, fire. German soldiers dropped. The advance slowed. The German commander, watching from one of the Panzer tanks, was furious. How was one man holding up an entire assault? He ordered the tanks to target the M10. The first tank fired. The shell missed, exploding in the snow 20 feet to Audie's left. The concussion nearly knocked him off the M10. His ears rang. Shrapnel peppered the side of the tank destroyer, but Audie stayed on the gun. He swiveled the 50 caliber toward the Panzer and opened fire. 50 caliber rounds cannot penetrate a Panzer's frontal armor, but they can damage periscopes, tracks, external equipment. Audie raked the tank with fire. The Panzer commander, blinded by the incoming rounds, pulled back slightly. The other tanks hesitated, but the German infantry kept coming. They spread out, trying to flank the M10, trying to get an angle on the crazy American who would not die. Audie saw them moving. He traversed the 50 caliber and fired in short, controlled bursts. 3 Germans fell on the left. He swung right and fired again. 4 more went down. The German soldiers were brave, well-trained, experienced, but they were being cut down by a single gunner who seemed impossible to kill. Morale started to crack. Audie kept firing. The barrel of the 50 caliber was glowing red-hot. Spent shell casings piled up around his feet. His hands were blistered from the heat. His legs were burning from the hot metal of the M10's hull. Smoke poured over him, choking him, blinding him, but he kept firing, because if he stopped, the Germans would advance. If the Germans advanced, they would overrun his company, his friends, his brothers. So he did not stop. Then Audie noticed something. The fire inside the M10 was getting worse. Flames were spreading. He could feel the heat intensifying beneath him. The fuel tanks were going to blow soon, maybe in minutes, maybe in seconds. The rational move was to jump off and run, but if he did that, the Germans would advance. So Audie stayed. He made a conscious choice to stay on a vehicle that was about to explode, because leaving meant his men would die. The Germans tried a new tactic. They called in mortar fire. Shells began dropping around the M10. Explosions threw up snow and dirt. Shrapnel whined through the air. One piece of shrapnel hit Audie in the leg. Pain shot up his thigh. He looked down and saw blood soaking through his pants. He had been hit, but the wound was not immediately fatal, so he ignored it. He kept firing. Audie grabbed the radio handset. He called his company's artillery support. His voice was calm, almost casual. "This is Murphy. I need fire support at my position. Danger close." The artillery officer hesitated. Danger close meant the artillery would land within meters of Audie's position. "Murphy, you are too close. We cannot guarantee your safety." Audie's response was simple. "I know. Fire anyway." Seconds later, American artillery shells screamed overhead and exploded among the German infantry. The concussions rocked the M10. Audie felt the heat of the explosions, but the German advance stopped. Bodies lay scattered in the snow. The surviving Germans pulled back, but it was not over. The Panzers were still there, and the German commander, enraged, ordered another infantry assault. Fresh troops advanced through the smoke and snow. Audie swung the .50 caliber toward them and fired. The gun was overheating. It was jamming every few rounds. Audie had to manually clear the jams, working the action with blistered, bleeding hands, then get back on the gun and fire, over and over, for an hour. 60 minutes of continuous combat, 60 minutes of being shot at, shelled, targeted by tanks, 60 minutes on a burning vehicle that could explode at any second, 60 minutes of choosing again and again to stay and fight instead of running to safety. Finally, the Germans had enough. They had lost over 50 men. Their advance was shattered. The German commander ordered a retreat. The Panzers pulled back. The infantry withdrew. The battlefield went quiet. Audie Murphy, bleeding, burned, half deaf from the gunfire, slowly climbed down from the M10. His legs barely held him. The tank was an inferno now, flames shooting 10 feet into the air. Audie limped away from it. 30 seconds later, the fuel tanks exploded. The M10 disappeared in a ball of fire. If Audie had stayed on it 10 seconds longer, he would have died. He stumbled back toward his company's position. His men stared at him like he was a ghost. They had watched the whole thing. They had seen one man hold off an entire German assault. They could not believe he was alive. Audie's company commander ran up to him. "Murphy, you are hit. We need to get you to an aid station." Audie shook his head. "Check the other guys first, sir. Make sure everyone else is okay." He refused treatment until every other wounded man had been cared for. The next day, Audie's company commander submitted a recommendation for the Medal of Honor. The citation described Audie's actions in dry, official language. But the men who had been there knew the truth. Audie Murphy had saved them all. 200 men went home to their families because a skinny kid from Texas decided that their lives mattered more than his. On June 2, 1945, in France, Audie Leon Murphy received the Medal of Honor. The war in Europe was over. Germany had surrendered. Audie stood at attention as a general pinned the medal to his uniform. He was 20 years old. He had been in combat for nearly 2 years. He had become the most decorated soldier in American history. 33 medals and awards, including the Medal of Honor, the Distinguished Service Cross, 2 Silver Stars, and 2 Purple Hearts. No American soldier before or since has earned more. But when reporters asked him how it felt to be a hero, Audie's answer was simple. The real heroes are the ones who did not come back. He meant it. To Audie, surviving did not make him special. It made him lucky. Today, Audie Murphy's grave at Arlington National Cemetery is the second most visited grave in the cemetery, after President Kennedy's. Thousands visit every year. They leave flowers. They leave medals. They leave notes thanking him for his service, and parents tell their children about the poor kid from Texas who became the most decorated soldier in American history, about the boy who stood on a burning tank and refused to run, about the man who proved that heroism does not come from size or strength or privilege. It comes from character, from the willingness to sacrifice for others, from the refusal to give up, no matter the odds. The 200 men Audie saved that day went on to live full lives. They married. They had children and grandchildren. Today, those 200 men and their descendants number in the thousands. Every birthday, every wedding, every graduation, every ordinary moment of those thousands of lives exists because one man refused to leave them behind. Audie Murphy saved 200 men on January 26, 1945. But in reality, he saved generations. On that frozen day in France, when Audie Murphy climbed onto a burning tank and fought alone against impossible odds, he was not thinking about legacy. He was not thinking about medals or fame. He was thinking about his men, the guys he had trained with, fought beside. He was thinking, I cannot let them die. I have to do something, and he did. He did the impossible. He held off an entire German assault. He saved 200 lives, and he became a legend. Audie Murphy was told his entire life that he was too small, too poor, too insignificant to matter. And he proved again and again that none of that was true. He mattered. He mattered to the 200 men he saved. He mattered to a nation that needed heroes. And his story matters today, reminding us that courage is not about being the biggest or the strongest. Courage is about standing up when it would be easier to stay down, fighting when it would be safer to run, sacrificing when it would be more comfortable to save yourself. Master Sergeant Audie Leon Murphy, Medal of Honor, June 20th, 1925 to May 28th, 1971. The most decorated soldier in American history, a true American hero, never forgotten.